Hi, guys. I hope you're all keeping well and safe. Welcome to another episode of Early Years Matters TV. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, please kindly subscribe because on this channel, we dish out everything related to early childhood education, and not just only subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that whenever a new video is being dropped on this channel, you'll be the first person to be notified. Today, I'm going to continue on the episode of Pedagogical Strategy in Early Childhood Education with focus on pedagogy of praising. For the last few weeks on this channel, I've been focusing on pedagogical strategies that the early childhood educator or an emerging early childhood educator can implement in their early childhood classroom to facilitate learning. So let me start by defining what is pedagogy. So pedagogy is an approach to teaching. It's the approach you implement in your early childhood classroom, either as an early childhood educator or an emergent early childhood educator on teaching placement or professional development placement that you implement in your early childhood classroom to facilitate learning. So today I'm going to be talking about pedagogy of praising. So let me start by defining what is praise. Praise shows that you approve of what someone have done and that they deserve self-acclamation. So in early childhood, let's talk about praise as a pedagogical strategy. So when you implement praise in your early childhood classroom, it shows that the children deserve recognition, approval, and acclamation for what they have done. So implementing praise in your early childhood classroom as a pedagogical strategy, it shows that you recognize what the child has done, you approve of what the child has done, and it's an acclamation of what the child has done. I'm sure we all love to be praised. Like, for example, for somebody like me, I love to be complimented if I'm putting on a nice dress, a nice shoe. If I'm putting on something nice or have done something good, I deserve to be praised. The same thing is applicable to children as well. They love to be praised. If they do something well for themselves, they want to be recognized for that thing that they've done. They want to recognize that they've worked so hard that what they've done deserve approval. So it's another pedagogical strategy that you can implement in your early childhood classroom to approve of what the child has done, to recognize what the child has done, and to acclaim of what the child has done in your early childhood classroom. But it's important that in relation to praise, you have to be specific. For example, saying, "Well done, John. Well done, Connor." Why are you telling Johnny well done? Why are you telling Connor well done? An adult, if somebody is complimenting me, "You look beautiful." So why do I look beautiful? The dress is lovely on you. Your makeup is so good. The shoe looks good on you. I love your red dress. I love your blue shoe. I love your red top. So you're being specific. You're telling me what you love about myself. The same thing with young children as well. You have to be specific when you're praising them. "Well done, Johnny, for tying your shoelaces. Well done, Johnny, for playing nicely with your friends. Well done, Johnny, for tying after yourself." So Johnny will see the reason why he's being praised. "Why are you telling me well done? And so what?" You're not just saying, "Oh, Johnny, you're the best boy." Why am I the best boy? "Florence, you're the best girl." Why am I the best girl? So you have to be specific. When you're praising the child, you want to recognize what the child has done. You want to approve of what the child has done. And one thing is, in relation to praise, it's a positive reinforcement. We want to focus on the positive behavior of the young child in the early childhood classroom. You implementing praise as a pedagogical strategy. So the child can see the connection. Why am I being praised? I'm being praised because I play nicely with my friends. I shared my toys with my friends. I tidied up after myself. So the child will see the connection with praised. And they tend to do more. You're being reinforced for playing with friends, for tidying up after yourselves. You want to be praised more and you tend to do these things. And this is what early childhood is all about, emphasizing positive behavior. And one of the ways you can emphasize positive behavior is to use positive reinforcement in the form of praise. So a child has done something while you're praising the child, you're enforcing this behavior. So the child to see the connection. Why am I being praised? Why is Florence telling me well done? Why is Florence telling me I'm the best girl? She's telling me I'm the best girl because I played nicely with my friends. I shared my toys with my friends. I tidied up after myself. So Florence will be able to see the connection. And because obviously Florence wants to be praised more and more, she tends to exhibit this behavior again. So I'm going to tidy up after myself so that I'm going to be praised, so that I'm going to get a sticker, I'm going to get high five. So it's important in relation to using positive reinforcement in the form of praise. So you're emphasizing what a child has done It's important when you're implementing praise as a pedagogical strategy in your early childhood classroom, you have to be specific. The child should be able to recognize why they are being praised. And it's important in relation to using praise as a pedagogical strategy. You implement praise when a child has completed a task or part of a task so that they can be able to approve that as what approval. So it's important in relation to when you are implementing praise as a pedagogical strategy in your early childhood classroom. Ensure that the child has completed a part of a task or a whole of a task. So for instance, if you want a child to read tasks, so maybe if a child has completed one task, for instance, you want the child to put on their coat and you want them to do laces and then you want them to go outside. So if the child has put on their coat, so you can use praise. Well done, Florence, for putting on your coat. And when you're implementing praise as a pedagogical strategy in your early childhood classroom, let it be completed a task or all of the tasks, so the child can be able to see that their achievement is worth approval or worth celebrating. So you're not just going to say to a child, you want a child to complete a task. The child has not completed the task and then you're saying, well done, Florence. Why are you telling Florence well done? What is the approval Florence has done to deserve a well done? So it's important when you're implementing praise as a pedagogical strategy. Use this when a child has completed a part of a task or all of a task. So if you want a child to complete 3 tasks, so the child has done 1 task, so reinforce that positive. Show that the child deserves an approval. Well done, Florence, for putting you on your. Now go and tie your shoelaces. So Florence will know that she's been praised because she has put on her coat. Now she's going to move on to tie her shoelaces so that she can be reinforced as well, so that she can be praised as well. So it's important when you're implementing praise as a pedagogical strategy in your early childhood classroom. Let it be when the child has completed a task or all of a task, so the child can see that what they've done deserves approval. So you are enforcing the positive behavior, what they've done well, so that they can also continue to implement, so that they can praise as a pedagogical strategy in your early childhood classroom. You have to be aware of culture as well. You need to understand that culture is important in the early childhood classroom. So what is culture? Culture is a way of life of people in a society. So you need to understand the children in your early childhood classroom, they come from different backgrounds, they come from different culture. And it's important in relation to implementing praise as a pedagogical strategy in your early childhood classroom. The children are important. So you have to consider the culture of the children. In relation to some culture and some sort of the effort of the child is not the end product. So in relation to if a child is making an effort, for instance, you have a child having difficulty tying their shoelaces. And if the child has made an attempt to tie their shoelaces, they're praising the child for an attempt, for an effort made to tie their shoelaces, for an effort made to listen for the first time. So culture is important in relation to when you are implementing praise as a pedagogical strategy in your early childhood classroom. So this is why it's important to talk to the parents as well. Discuss with the parents of the children in your early childhood classroom. Let them understand or let them know that you're going to be implementing praise as a pedagogical strategy in your early childhood classroom. Ask them questions. How do they implement praise at home? How do they implement praise as a result of their culture? So you have so that in relation to when you're going to implement praise in your early childhood classroom as a pedagogical strategy, you are aware of the children's culture in relation to how and when they have to be praised. This is important because, like I said earlier, there's some cultures that they value praising children's effort, the effort that they've made towards completing a task, whereas they praise when the child has completed a task. So it's important that you know this, you have a discussions with the parent. So you are implementing praise at the right time. So that your culture is also important in relation to praise. So when you're implementing praise as a pedagogical strategy in your early childhood classroom, you have to take into consideration. So the question is, how often do you implement praise as a pedagogical strategy in your early childhood classroom or going forward after watching this? Praise is something you're going to implement in your early childhood classroom. Do try this out and come back and leave relation to implementing praise as a pedagogical strategy. Any difficulty, any challenges going forward, is this something that you're going to continue to implement? Please below and do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Subscription is free. And not just only subscribe, turn on your notifications so that whenever a new video is being dropped on this channel, you'll be the first person to be notified. And until I come your way next time, stay safe and mind yourselves for now. Bye. And mind yourselves for now. Bye.